What's happening, guys? I'm very excited. This is my pet project over the last couple years, the BioLayne Foundation. For those of you who aren't familiar, one of my clients, Maggie Kuhn, even though she always requests that I keep her anonymous, I think she deserves credit, came to me one day and said, you know, what can I, you've been so good for me in my life. What can we do to make more people like you in terms of like coaches? And I said, well, I think education is the key. You know, we have a lot of really, you know, basically uneducated coaches out there who are, in a lot of cases, doing some real damage to people. You know, you wouldn't go to somebody who called themselves a doctor if they didn't have their medical degree. But there's a lot of people who go to coaches who have absolutely no scientific background. So I think it's a huge deal, not only to get more people educated in science with regards to exercise and nutrition, but just to get more data out there, more information. And so Maggie and I started the BioLayne Foundation, which is 100% tax deductible. All donations are paid out to grants. I do not take a salary. Maggie doesn't take a salary. The board doesn't take a salary. Everything we take in is paid out. And last year was our first year, and we only got a few applications, and we gave out a $10,000 scholarship to Eric Trexler at the University of North Carolina, who's studying basically observing people dieting for contest and what their metabolic markers are like, what their hormones are like when they're dieting down for a contest, and then what it's like as they recover from that, which is interesting data that we don't really have other than a few case studies by Dr. Chris Foss and Dr. Peter Fitchen. So that's really cool. We're hearing some cool things about what Eric's doing, and he's in Dr. Abby Smith-Ryan's lab at UNC. And then this year we really had a cool, we had quite a bit more money, and part of that is we received, Maggie is very generous with her donations. I tried to put in more this year. I put in £1 for every pound I totaled in powerlifting meets. I put in $1. So it ended up being a very expensive year for me because I did very well. So I'm happy about that. And then Chrissy Cagney of Donuts and Deadlifts left us a very generous donation. So please support her company, Donuts and Deadlifts. And so we had some more money, and we got 4 times the applications we got last year. So awesome. It was a lot of work for the board to sort through these because a lot of them were really good, and it was very close when it came down to the end. And we decided that we wanted to give out 2 grants this year. So we're going to give out 2 $10,000 grants for research. And it was very close between the final 3, and just like a razor's edge. And I'm very excited and happy to announce that the winners are Scott Dankel of the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, and he studies under Dr. Jeremy Lineker, and then Laurin Conlin, studying under Dr. Bill Campbell of USF. Now, full disclosure, I'm friends with Laurin, and I know Dr. Lineker, I know Dr. Campbell. Unfortunately, or fortunately, in this industry or in this academia, it's quite close-knit, quite small. You're going to know a lot of people applying. So I recused myself from voting this year as a member of the board. I recused myself because I didn't think it'd be fair for me to vote on these topics, obviously because I'm biased. But I was very happy to see that the board thought that their submissions were great, and that they were announced as winners. And Scott is going to be studying the effects of blood flow restriction, but in a different way than most people have done so far. So far, blood flow restriction has really only been studying, comparing it straight up to heavy resistance training. And the issue with that is, so what they've been able to show is that blood flow restriction is basically about as good as heavy training. It's not better, but it's about as good. And that's a huge deal because you can use much less weight with blood flow restriction as you can with heavy training. So for people who are going through injury or people who are in a taper or all these kinds of stuff, blood flow restriction has a lot of really cool applications. Again, it's not better than heavy training, but it seems to be almost just as good. And if you have questions about blood flow restriction training, please Google my name plus blood flow restriction training. Google Dr. Lineke's name plus blood flow restriction training. You'll find out tons of stuff. A lot of instructional videos and whatnot. And I even have a video on BioLayne.com right now about it. So what Scott wants to do is actually take blood flow restriction training, add it to heavy training. So they're going to do a heavy training protocol, add the blood flow restriction, and see is it any better than if you do just regular heavy training. Okay? Their hypothesis is actually that it won't be any better. That if your heavy training is sufficient, that you don't need to add blood flow restriction to it. Then people say, well, what's the use of blood flow restriction then? Well, first off, it's just a hypothesis. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it is better. They seem to think that there's just like we have a limit for muscle protein synthesis in response to varying levels of protein, that, for example, if you're eating 40 grams of protein, that basically, 40 to 50 grams of protein maximizes the response. If you eat 100 grams, you're not doubling that response. Okay, you're hardly getting anything extra, if anything. Same thing for volume. They think that there's a dose response up to a point, and then it's topped off. So you can't just do a bunch of volume till the end of time. That there's a cap. So this will be interesting to see because it's going to answer questions about blood flow restriction, about regular heavy training, and about volume. And so really excited for that, and really excited to see what they find. And even if they find that there's no difference, that blood flow restriction didn't improve things, there's still applications for blood flow restriction for people who train heavy. Like I said, during a taper, or if you're injured and you can't train heavy, or you're traveling, maybe all you've got is a hotel weight room that's not that great. Well, if you've got 20-pound, 30-pound dumbbells, you can do a good workout with blood flow restriction. So there's still really good applications for it. Then Laurin, her research under Dr. Bill Campbell, she's going to be examining a flexible dieting model versus a restrictive dieting model. Essentially, she's going to be examining IIFYM versus clean eating. So they're going to take people who are resistance trained, diet them down either using flexible dieting or a restricted food list, a meal plan, and they're going to see if there's any difference in body composition, metabolic rate, and quite a few other markers. And then they're also going to follow them after the diet's over, so after the diet's done, into recovery, and see if there's any difference between groups. So this will be interesting because, again, people, we have hypotheses about things, but, we don't really know. These things need to be tested. And so it's going to be interesting to find out what the results are. I'm obviously very much looking forward to this. We have a little bit of data, but for the most part, this particular data area is wide open. So it's going to be really cool. So please, if you're one of the things that, not to go on a rant, but one of the things that really gets under my skin is I'll post a study, or people will post a study, they'll say, well, it wasn't done in bodybuilders, or it wasn't done in weight trainers. That's because there's no money for that. So if you want to change things, instead of just being a complainer, if you want to change things, please donate to the BioLayne Foundation. Like I said, 100% of your donations are paid out. Not a single cent is used towards marketing, is used for selling t-shirts or anything like that. Okay? There's nothing like that. So please donate to the BioLayne Foundation if you want more research done on actual bodybuilders and weight trainers. This is what's going to get this research done. I'd love to give out more money. We'd love to give out more money. I'd love to be able to give out $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year, but we need your donations. And it's 100% tax deductible. You get to write it off on your taxes, so please donate. One other thing, John Bossy of Barbell One has chosen to support us. He's come out with these BioLayne watches. Let's see. It's hard to really see there. But so it's basically, it's the BioLayne logo, and then the band, instead of a regular band, it is kind of like suede, so it's like the same material as a weight belt. It's pretty cool. I like it, obviously. And he has pledged to donate 20% of all sales to the BioLayne Foundation. Now he is not a part of the BioLayne Foundation. This is the whole legal disclaimer. He's not part of the BioLayne Foundation. There's no contract with him, nothing like that. He has pledged to donate 20% of sales of these watches to the BioLayne Foundation. So if you want a cool watch with the BioLayne logo on it, cool. We're hoping some of those sales will get back to us in the form of donations from John. And he's a good guy. I'm sure there won't be an issue with that. So thank you guys, those of you who have donated. I really appreciate it. Those of you who haven't, I hope you're not some of those people who complain about lack of research in weight trainers, because if you do, you're being a hypocrite. So, but please help fund the next generation of exercise and nutrition scientists. This is research that needs to be done. No, we're not curing cancer. No, we're not, taking care of heart disease or anything like that. But this is still important research, and it's good for the fitness industry. It's good for the community. It's good for the health of the overall population. So please, if you go to www.biolayne.com, click on the About tab, you can see how you can donate to the BioLayne Foundation. And I'll put a link down here where you guys can click. Thank you guys again for watching. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to more really cool stuff in the future. And I'll keep you updated as the research progresses and as the data comes out. Thanks.